Here it comes.
This big, give me a big boy. I love him. I'm obsessed with this. I want to see more movies. Look at that.
Barry's like,
The bulls aren't working.
Whoa.
He's not even eating. He's not even eating.
Oh, yeah.
Barry, back up. So badass.
He's got some good ground speed.
No, this is the linebacker.
Run!
Look at him! They had so much fun.
Oh, Barry, no! Barry, no! Oh.
He didn't need to rip it.
Oh.
Not just as like a side note, it's nice to see what it looks like on a darker skin, so you know what is going to happen to other people.
Yeah. Oh.
His little eyes.
He's like, wait, what?
His little eyes.
My blood is medicine.
Oh.
I just feel like she's just comforting. It's,
Yeah,
she
she
is
doesn't want
afraid,
him to be scared.
but it's like, yeah, he's younger than you.
Oh, he doesn't want her to hurt herself. Oh. Why did they always do the hand?
Where else are you gonna do your foot?
Anywhere else.
My baby. At least he confided in her. Oh, my sweet angel. Oh, my baby. Oh. At least they gave him a burial.
He's just like gone.
You can't do anything about it, girl.
Joel, don't read it as private. Oh.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. The Last of Us episode 5, titled Endure and Survive, is here early, and so are we.
Oh, baby.
A show where giant mushroom men kill Nazis that previously killed different Nazis, and somehow they're all villains.
The government's all Nazis.
I don't think the bloater's a villain. This is The Break Room, our daily show that keeps you updated on all the nerdy news that you need to know. And today we're talking about The Last of Us episode 5, so stay out of the sewers and open your last can of beans as we dive in. You know what's a sad true fact? I finished my last can of beans last night.
Oh,
I had
no.
refried beans.
You better get more beans.
Maybe. I'm Jessica Clemons, and with me today is Brandon Barrick.
Oh, hello. Happy to be here.
Oh, sad to watch this.
Sad to watch the show, but happy to be here.
And Anna Vanston.
Hi, my name's Anna.
Oh, that's very sweet.
You know what my favorite sign is in ASL?
What?
Shrimp, because it's a little shrimp floating backwards.
Oh, I
love
noticed.
it.
I think you would like this one for noisy.
Oh,
Didn't you like that was
it's the
noisy?
movement of floating backwards,
Oh, okay.
swimming backwards. It makes shrimp.
Because when it was telling him you're being too noisy, he kind of went like this or like this. I don't know.
Well, the actor is actually deaf, and he
Yeah,
actually
so
does
much.
sign
I love all that representation they've had in so many
Yeah.
things in the last couple of years. It's been great. We're so excited to talk about this episode. But first, we want to tell you that our merch partners at Nerd Riot have recently released a brand new shirt inspired by The Last of Us called Lost in the Darkness. Here it is.
I have one too.
There it is! Oh, baby, look for the light, you know. You can pick up this awesome shirt at nerdriot.shop, where you will also find tons of great merch featuring new rock stars and other nerdy fandoms. Support the channel and rock some great merch at nerdriot.shop. Also, look at this jacket. Am I sweating on camera? It's because of this nice, warm jacket.
No, it's probably because of the 3 layers you're wearing.
It's also the 3 layers. It looks cool. All good actors.
sweating on camera.
All good actors wear 3 layers at least. This is the same jacket that Joel wears on The Last of Us. Not the exact same one, but you know what I mean. The jacket's from Huckberry. The costume designers at The Last of Us used a flint and tinder wax canvas trucker jacket from Huckberry for Joel's iconic look. So you can pick one up for yourself if you want to. Click the link in the video's description to buy your own, and that also helps support The Last of Us coverage here at New Rockstars. So rock it out at your next con. It's con season, baby.
Heck yeah.
Rock it out with your jacket out.
That's
Also,
right.
yeah, I think it's really good for pins. So if you're
It's great
collecting
for pins,
that'd
yeah.
be great.
If you're a pin trader at Disney Parks, hit me up.
Or at a convention for Last of Us.
Now, as a reminder, the first part of this episode will be spoiler-free. We'll just be talking about what you saw in the episode. No game stuff, none of that other stuff. We recommend if you haven't played the games to avoid reading the comments, and if you're in the comments, don't spoil stuff. Just be nice to everybody. There are a few foreshadowing moments in this episode for folks that have played the game, so we'll be leaving those out of the episode recap and covering them at the end of the show. But for now, let's get into our spoiler-free section of The Last of Us and talk about episode 5. This episode opens with a oh-so-long and torturous flashback to the fall of Fedra, which we find was only 10 days ago in Kansas City, which I was surprised to see that.
Yeah.
I guess makes a lot of sense that Henry and Sam have only been on the run for like 10 days.
Yeah.
They still got that like pent-up energy kind of
Yeah,
going.
they got that fresh, we're just starting camping. This to me was some of the darkest stuff I've seen on television in a long time.
Oh yeah, the guy that was being dragged with knives in him.
And a man being strung up, shot in the head, and then all of that. You know, this reminds me of the previous episode when Ellie was like wondering, like, who's out there? Is it Fedra? Is it Raiders? And he was like, just people.
Yeah.
People, man.
And I think we mentioned last time in the games, I don't feel like this is really a spoiler, they have on the front of the truck a guy with his legs cut off, like a dead guy, just like to show how savage they are.
Yeah,
this helped demonstrate the savageness that we're
now,
talking about
this
here.
Fedra was savage. Okay, these were bad people that needed to be taken down. But in a time in the world when we all should be coming together and helping each other, we're only more dangerous and more violent. It's very scary. Ugh. So violence begets violence as the resistance brutally kills and hangs Fedra soldiers and informants. That was very dark. Henry and Sam are on the run, ducking between buildings looking for a safe place to bed down, while Kathleen tells a group of Fedra informants that they'll all be tried, but you know, they're all guilty, so that's how that will go. But first she needs the location of Henry. One of the informers spills the beans, and Kathleen tells Perry to kill them all, and when he's done, burn the bodies, it's faster. She's efficient, I guess.
Yeah, she is.
That's one way to look at it.
She knows.
Even Perry was like, "Oh, we're not gonna have a trial," and she's like, "No, we're not gonna have a trial, Perry. Shoot them." This is probably the smoldering pile of bodies that Joel and Ellie passed as they drove past the town in the last episode. Very dark. One quick note on Perry that we missed last week. He's being played by Jeffrey Pierce, who played Tommy in the game. If you played the games, you might recognize that voice. Producer John takes full responsibility for missing that detail, and we are not culpable
We
at
take
all.
no
responsibility. Henry and Sam make it to a safe house with Dr. Edelstein. This was the doctor that Kathleen will later kill that we saw killed in the previous episode. Some time jumping going on here. And we learn that Sam is deaf. Henry proposes they escape through the tunnels, and Edelstein says, might as well kill yourself right here. Jesus, Edelstein, no spoilers, please.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
I at first I didn't know if they were gonna make Sam deaf because I was like, you know what? That's actually really smart to learn some sign language in a post-apocalyptic world.
I thought, maybe they're just being quiet.
That was the leak that came out actually a long time ago that Sam was going to be a deaf character. They were looking for a black man deaf between ages 8 to 14, and I guess this 8-year-old really took.
He did a great job. Great job.
Cut to 10 days later, and Sam and Henry are out of food. Realizing that Edelstein isn't coming back, they have to go out and find food on their own. Henry gives Sam his superhero alter ego, and as they leave, Henry watches Joel absolutely murk some of Kathleen's men, which we saw earlier. And I wonder how this dude could be helpful. We all wonder.
We all wonder.
How is he
I would just like to say, again, something that Bill pointed out, resource management, okay? You can't be wasting paint on the face, all right? Also, what's in that paint? That's an outdoor paint.
The kid...
That's not good for the face.
And you know what? He didn't wash it off before going to bed, and I was like, that's terrible.
He's gonna
for your
break out.
skin.
He's an 8-year-old black boy. They have beautiful skin. Are you guys out of your mind?
It's true.
Henry
But I'm
and
just
Sam-
concerned about resource management with the paint.
With the paint? What are they gonna do? Paint? Who's gonna paint the steps? Henry and Sam hold up Joel and Ellie, but this time we know those guns aren't loaded at all. Henry is clearly not great at this, but gets what he wants. I do love Ellie telling Henry that Joel has an asshole voice. Happens to the best of us. This was written by John because John has an asshole voice.
I mean, Producer John does have an asshole voice.
John does have a great asshole voice.
I did love Joel is so great in this sequence, Pedro Pascal, and the moment when he's like, you ate, we didn't kill each other, let's call this a win.
Well, see, I love when Henry was like, "What? That doesn't sound fucking reassuring."
He's like, I'm okay. It's like, that's okay.
So everything's good. It's great.
It's great.
Emphasize the great. Henry tells Joel that he can get them out of the city. Joel has heard that the Kansas City QZ is one of the worst in the nation and is surprised it's fallen. Henry says he's never killed anyone before, while Ellie and Sam bond over the pun book. And
I do like that little hint that word about how bad cities are gets out. I mean, we saw that in the first episode with the radios, and we've heard tales of what's going on out there. But Kansas City was so bad, other QZs were like, it sucks here in Boston, but at least we're not in Kansas City.
I feel like that's the most you can do is just word of mouth it.
Right.
Henry explains that his plan involves using the tunnels under the city to make an escape. The catch? Fedra drove the infected underground years ago. And baby, don't you see
It was very
them?
smart. I mean, I did once they said that. Well, it was a smart move by
Okay.
Fedra. It didn't pay off in the end. But it was a smart move because I didn't even notice that until they mentioned that we didn't see like infected stuff throughout the city ever, and I was like, oh,
It makes sense, but then you
Like,
just
it-
think
just the
long,
growth.
and maybe that's Fedra. This is a very Fedra idea and mindset. Long term, it's gonna cave in. Just the ground, no one's keeping up with it. It's for maintenance.
That's tomorrow's problem.
That's tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be dead. Henry claims that it's empty, but boy, howdy, we saw the ground shake last episode and what came out of it in this one. We also hear our first mention of the word clicker.
Oh, in universe, baby. They use the terms we used in the game.
He was like, "You saw a clicker and survived? See, I knew you were good." I was like, "Damn." I was like, "Damn, you guys just don't tell anybody what you did good."
Yeah.
In the tunnels, everything looks fine, and Henry declares the plan is good. They find the remnants of a community with a daycare started by a man named Ish, and this is really sweet. The name Ish is a reference to Isherwood Williams, the protagonist from the novel Earth Abides, set in a post-apocalyptic landscape, who also starts a community of pandemic survivors. This is a small detail carried over from the game.
Oh, absolutely delicious. I did love like finding that painted room, and you're like, what? How did this happen? And like Sam being so excited to go in, and Henry being like, yeah, we found it. And Joel's like, no, stop. What are you doing?
He also didn't check behind the door. Joel didn't. And I was like, just look behind the door.
I do always worry about it.
Just look to your left,
It's like
look
when
to your
Ellie
right.
went down in the hole and like just looked
Yeah.
immediately to the right. It's like, look to the left.
There's just no camera to the left. That's the problem.
They did
can't
frame
look
that like
way.
something was behind the door.
Yeah.
It was very scary. Ellie finds her first issue of Savage Starlight.
Yay.
This is the comic from the game. It was great to see it. Endure and Survive is the title, or is like the slogan of this. And it was right last week that we did get our first look at it, these episodes.
Give
Congratulations.
me my camera.
Oh, she dabbed
All right,
on us.
that's it.
She's turning. She's infected. She's infected with dab. Henry tells Joel why he ratted out on the resistance. Kathleen's brother Michael was, in his word, a man he'd follow anywhere. But Sam got leukemia and needed medication from Fedra, something we heard Kathleen saying to the informants, like, you did this for medicine and apples. So he gave Michael, the leader of this resistance, Kathleen's brother, he gave him up to Fedra. Henry labels himself as a bad guy and really seems to hate himself for the things he's had to do for his family to endure and survive. Henry tells Joel,
You might not be her father, but you were someone's.
God damn it, Henry. You make me cry anymore in this episode,
Yeah,
and
they're-
you will.
they're really good at-
That was like a heavy, heavy line.
Yeah.
I love seeing these two characters come together because they really judged each other at first. You know, Joel assuming that this guy is like a killer in Kansas City or something. He's like, I've never killed anyone. I'm just trying to take care of my deaf brother. Like, we're just trying to do our best here.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I also wonder, do you think that Henry, like, using the terminology of bad guy, I wonder if that's sort of, Sam's not obsessed, but, hooked on the superhero
Right.
stuff and the comics of good versus evil. So I think using the term like bad guy
Yeah.
really, it felt connected to me.
Especially with like another adult, like saying, like, I'm a bad guy.
I'm a bad guy. I'm the
Yeah.
bad guy. Yeah.
Perry finds Kathleen and her child at home. We hear more about Michael from Kathleen's point of view, and it does paint a picture of a wonderful man who took care of the people he loves. And we get a better understanding of why Kathleen is so motivated by her grief, even though Michael told her to forgive in prison.
Yeah.
Now that they're out of the tunnels, the group of four make their way through the residential suburbs of Kansas City. A sniper down the street takes aim at them, who we later learn is working with Kathleen. Joel makes his way to the sniper and kills him, just as we learn the resistance is making their way there now.
That was a great reveal.
I loved it.
I loved
Oh,
that reveal.
I loved it. Oh, at first I was like, if there's no radio, is this man just
I was
working
like,
by
is this
himself
old
in a
man just
in the
waiting for someone to
country?
walk down the
Yeah.
street?
I was
With
so
a
confused.
sniper.
Yeah.
I've been here 85 years.
Don't you come in my house.
I did love Joel Belan too. Like, he's a terrible shot. Don't worry.
Yeah. It's
He
dark and he's
wasn't
bad.
that bad.
He
Like,
didn't
he was
hit him
gonna
that
get-
He wasn't that bad, but he didn't hit
Yeah,
a single
yeah.
person. When he was running, I was like, Tim, you are one second behind him
Yeah,
every
yeah.
single time. Go ahead of him. I don't know how to hunt people. Joel takes out one of the armored vehicle drivers who careens into a nearby house. The vehicle explodes and falls into a sinkhole. As the resistance swarms Henry, Sam, and Ellie, a horde of infected burst through that sinkhole, including our first bloater. They were living underground after all.
They were still there.
When it went in the tunnel. First off, good timing for you guys. Congrats.
I mean, great timing.
Great
Great
timing
timing.
for y'all.
Coincidence, huh?
Coincidence. You almost got executed publicly until now. You guys all kind of did. But anyways, when it started going in there, I was like, earthquake? I was like, earthquake? And then when I was like, oh, here they come, I was screaming.
Oh, baby.
Now, do you think that there were a lot of infected that
Yeah.
burst out of there? Do you think that a good percentage of those were the people who were living in the tunnels, the community that was living in the
I
tunnels.
think they were
and got
definitely
turned.
swarmed up by that. We'll touch on that here because all hell breaks loose and Joel takes out clickers left and right like it's Saving Private Ryan and he's up in the sniper tower. Kapah! Kapoo! Kapah! Trying to keep his friends safe. Mainly just Ellie. I think he's mostly concerned about Ellie
Yeah,
there.
Sam and Henry were getting attacked.
Ellie narrowly escapes an infected girl that probably came from that same underground community. This little child in Blue's Clues pajamas doing a freaky little Megan-style bend over into the car.
I was so scared, and then when she did the back, I went, oh.
Yeah. Real quick, was that
Gymnast.
a small-framed adult actress, or was that a
No,
child
it was
they
a
put
child.
that makeup
That
on?
was a child. They put that makeup on, and they were like, "We need a gymnast child.
A gymnast
we need a gymnast child." I think she's the same age as Sam. We should look this up afterwards because I'm.
You
very
think it was a
into
child?
I've done a couple like monster calls for TV and film.
Is that when
and
you
stuff
call
like that.
children and pretend to be a monster?
That's exactly what. No, it's like auditions where they want you to show like your range.
Oh,
of
like
motion
how
and
you can
stuff
like move.
that, how you can move.
They talked about in the after show podcast for this on HBO. That's so great. Listen to it, please. When they were the clickers in the first episode, they found these like contortionist dancer movement people who like had played the game and like really knew how to do the movements. Love it, love it.
Zombie moves.
Yeah. Kathleen, however, is not so lucky, and Perry gets his head torn off by a bloater. And it's great to point out that Kathleen was the one saying kids die every day. Who kills her?
I can't.
This one's for the kids, Kathleen. Henry, Sam, Ellie, and Joel escape to a nearby motel. Henry again confesses that he's a monster for what he's had to do. I love this moment where Joel's like, hey, I know I judged you for being a rat, but like, if this is why you were being a rat, I get it, because I would do the same thing. Sam asks Ellie how she's able to be so brave, and Ellie confesses that she's afraid of ending up alone. Sam shows Ellie that he's been bitten, and Ellie tries to heal him with her immune blood.
With her immune blood. In the morning, Sam has turned and attacks Ellie, and I thought we had another episode.
Yeah.
Henry has to shoot Sam, and after doing what he did to Michael and now Sam, he turns the gun on himself and kills himself.
It doesn't wait very long either.
I mean, yeah, it's your brother.
That was
You
his
put
whole
everything.
reason.
Yeah, this is your
Yeah.
only reason to survive. What else do you have to live for? Joel and Ellie bury Sam and Henry, and Ellie leaves an "I'm sorry" note on Sam's grave. The pair continue heading to Wyoming on foot.
Just heavy stuff.
What do you call? Just an aside. What do you call that thing with the
What-
magic
I had
paper?
one when I was a
What are they
child,
called?
but I forgot what they're called.
A magic.
Magic. It's got to be magic.
Well, this one was like a
something.
Woody Woodpecker one. I noticed they had like a faded Woody.
We had one growing
Yeah,
up all the time.
we've all
that you
had
do,
those
and then
things.
it erases once
if
you
you know
lift
the
it
answer,
up.
call in.
Because it was like chalk on the bottom or something. It was weird.
I did love with that moment too of Ellie still in the room with Sam, which like God bless her for staying in that room all night, like, staying awake even though she did fall asleep. She's able to walk up to Sam because even infected, like Sam still can't like hear her coming. You know what I mean? He's still deaf. Like the fungus doesn't fix that. We saw the fungus made like the old woman able to like move and stuff again, but the fungus can't
Yeah,
like
it
make
can't
him
help
hear
him, it's already
again.
been gone.
Just so intense. So as we dive into this episode, my first question for both of you is: do you think Ellie actually thought she could save Sam with her blood? Was she just being like hopeful and trying to comfort him in this moment because he didn't know anything about her blood? Like she decides to show it. Is she just trying to like she knows this is not going to work and she's just doing it to keep him calm, or do you think like
I think she was.
she had hope?
I think she was hopeful because it's like no one's tried it, and that was actually a good example of us knowing that no one has cut her open yet. But I think she genuinely was like, okay, I know my blood is a medicine, but we haven't tried this yet. Maybe I can try. I don't think she was just doing it to make him feel better. I think she was like hopeful that it might actually work.
What do
Yeah,
you think?
I agree. No, I agree with that. I think that right now, or I feel like up until now, Ellie has sort of been the embodiment of hope, innocence in this dark situation, ready to kill infected innocence, but an innocence nonetheless. And I think she thought that this would work. Otherwise, I don't think she would have like fallen asleep beside him. Like
I
it
think she
seemed
was
all
trying
very
to.
genuine.
Yeah.
Maybe she accidentally fell asleep, but I think. Yeah, I don't think she thought he was going to turn. I thought or at least I think she had a lot of hope that he wouldn't.
It was worth a shot.
Yeah.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Is it possible Marlene ever tried this with her? I like to think that Marlene, we had her for a few days. It was like 10 days, or so, I forget the exact amount of time. I think she had said like, it's been 10 days, I haven't turned or whatever. I would think maybe Marlene, when she's doing her test of like count to 10, show us your hand, if they tried like, let's get a little bit of her blood and take it over to an infected and see if we could do, I don't know if they've captured an infected.
I could see that happening, but her not disclosing
Yeah.
that to her, that it worked or it didn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
I
'Cause
think she's
if
probably
you're
just like,
applying the scientific method to this child with an immunity that you found, let's just try the first test we can. I'm no doctor. Take a little blood, mix it with a little other blood. Bingo, bango, spit on it, see what happens.
I mean,
That costs extra. no spend on it.
Wouldn't it die? I guess it depends on who's the medical professional with Marlene, because I'm like, if it dies on hint of oxygen, what are you doing?
Right.
To getting blood out, and just if they had the medical need or the medical stuff there at where the fireflies were.
I bet they tried a little blood
But
test.
once you just like drop it on the ground, just scoop it up.
Now, if you did a complete transfusion, I
Oh,
wonder.
if you moved all of her blood
all
out
of it,
into a new body?
cycled it all out.
Ooh, let's try it out. Let's try it out.
But yeah, I'm sure I think when she was in captivity, they probably did a lot more
Yeah.
tests than we saw, but I don't think she would have been disclosed any of that.
I would have been, if it had worked, I would have been like, come on. That would have been too easy for me if it had worked.
This isn't me at all as a way out. But I was like, I start when I watch shows like this, and especially when it's a child that's about to get killed, I look up the actor. Make sure they're okay.
But they didn't actually kill them on set?
Well, I just want to make sure they're having a healthy life.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm just like, after seeing them play this sad role, I'm like, let me
Yeah,
make
what do you
sure.
tell this
he
kid
plays
on set?
hockey. He's like
okay.
the first deaf student hockey
Yeah.
player at his school, and it's a big thing in his hometown. But I started being like, oh, he knows what death is, unfortunately, and all these things, because he was born during the pandemic. So I was like, if Ellie is immune, how many other kids that were born into this could possibly be immune from different ways?
Yeah,
And I was
we'll
like,
never
maybe
know,
Sam
right?
is. I was like, maybe
Yeah.
Sam is. And then he wasn't.
No,
but
he
I
was-
was like hopeful that he might have
He
been.
absolutely was not.
Maybe
very sad.
waited out maybe 10 minutes.
There probably are other people, but yeah, how will we find them? You have to get bit to find out. That's not the best test. Yeah, you are right too that he's very accustomed to death, because he's the one that asked right away, like, hey, is that dude dead? Is Edelstein dead? And like seeing his brother be like, probably yes. Like, well, we should go. Things are going great. You're right on the money, my guy.
Is he dead? Probably, yeah.
Probably yes. And I do love this idea too that he thinks Ellie's not scared because she shows a face of like calmness and she jokes around. She's so ready to joke around. I mean, when they find that daycare and she's like, can we please just stay because there's stuff to do here?
Yeah.
Like, so childlike. Even though she's much older than Sam, she's closer to Sam than she is to Joel.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's like having this in her life is like so nice, and we know she's lost so much and it's so heavy.
I wish we had gotten more of that community.
I know.
Underground.
I would like to have
community.
seen a little more about it, but
They had that whiteboard that said, if you hear this single noise, run to your hiding spots.
Right.
And it was like, don't be loud and all these other things. And I was like, oh, this sucks.
I almost drew parallels between that and like the school shootings we have nowadays, where it's like they have to be so on edge and
Right.
on alert now, where if they hear a certain alarm, they
Yeah.
have hiding places to go to. And it just reminds you of like the tragedy that kids are facing.
And that's how bad the Kansas City QZ was, right? It's better to be underground on our own, hiding, than to even be in this like Fedrus place.
You mentioned that last week about Ellie, like as a woman also in this situation, a possibility of being like assaulted. You have to watch out for like even just men
Yeah.
that are in the
Yeah.
area, or women. And when Henry said that, he was like, they were raping, murdering,
Right.
doing everything to everybody.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is their first time talking about it out loud, that they are assaulting people also in the QZs.
Yeah, this is not great stuff. Well, we have lots more to talk about this episode. We want to thank our sponsors real fast. In our world in the year 2023, we're fortunate enough that we don't have these like cordyceps running around, right? We don't have to worry about that.
As far as we know.
Things are great. We don't have that awfulness happening, but we do have one awfulness happening, and that's high phone bills. Thankfully, there's Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile was the first company to sell premium wireless service, online only. You order from home and you save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Lots of us here at New Rockstars have switched to Mint Mobile. It's great. You can keep your phone. You can keep all your contacts. You have that unlimited talk and text, great data, high-speed 5G network. Boom, $15 a month. That's great. How is Mint Mobile able to do this? You might ask yourself. Well, they went online only. They don't have like the traditional retail stores that add more costs to your phone plans. They got rid of that and they passed the savings right on to you. Like I said, you can get that unlimited talk and text, high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes. You can switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service today starting at just $15 a month. To do that, all you gotta do is go to mintmobile.com/breakroom. That's mintmobile.com/breakroom. You switch to that plan for $15 a month, and you get it shipped right to your door for free. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/breakroom. We also want to thank Factor for sponsoring the show today. Thank you for the applause.
Just a quiet one.
Quiet clap. We also want to thank Factor for sponsoring the show today. There's nothing worse than wrapping up a long day at work, only to go home and face like a long night of cooking dinner. I hate it. I don't want to chop up my food. I don't want to decide what to eat. I don't want to go to the grocery store, deal with all those people. Some people are wearing masks, some people aren't. You go to the produce section. I don't know what a ripe pineapple is supposed to look like. What do I do? What do I do? Get Factor and not only skip that awful trip to the grocery store, but you can skip the chopping, the prepping, the cleaning up afterwards. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. And all you have to do is heat and enjoy.
What if I'm keto?
Well, Anna, if you are keto, and I strongly suggest that you're not, they do have meals that are keto, calorie smart, vegan, and veggie. They're full of protein. These meals are prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians. Each meal has all the ingredients you need to feel satisfied all day long. They're not these wimpy little heat-up meals. They're good. They're filling. You're going to feel great. They have 34 chef-prepared, dietitian-approved weekly options every week. There's always something new to try. Plus, you can round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of quick bites, smoothies, juices, and more satisfying add-ons. Get Factor and enjoy clean eating without the hassle. Head to factormeals.com/breakroom50 and use code breakroom50 to get 50% off your first box.
What is that?
50% off your first box? All you got to do is go to factormeals.com/breakroom50 and enter code breakroom50 to get 50% off your first box.
Beauty.
I'm applauding via ASL.
Oh, I do like, yeah, ASL applauding. Love it. Anna, this show isn't exactly like the video game. What are some changes in this episode from the game?
Well, Brandon, I'll tell you some similarities and some differences.
Oh, okay, great.
So this is your warning. If not, we're not going any further than the show has covered, but if you want to play the game totally clean, now's your chance to. Mini spoilers, click off. Like most of these episodes, except episode 3, this followed a lot of the same beats as the game. However, there were definitely some details that were left in, left out, things that we want to talk about. So we gonna talk about those.
Oh, you want to go
We're going to talk about
Okay.
this. All right. So the first thing, and maybe we should have mentioned this last time, I don't know, but we'll talk about it now, is that the way that they run into Henry and Sam for the first time is different than in the game. In the game, Joel is like climbing through this window of an apartment building when Henry comes around with a gun, takes him by surprise. But Joel kicks his ass and is like beating his face on the ground. And then Sam comes in with the gun and only gets him with a knife. It's a whole thing. But they don't sneak up on them in the middle of the night. So that's a little bit different. They also never talk about in the games that their guns weren't loaded. For all we know, they absolutely were loaded. So that's new. In the game, they weren't originally from Pittsburgh or Kansas City. They were actually from Hartford, traveling with this group that decided to enter the city in order to scavenge, but they were ambushed by the... Well, in the show now,
whoever
whoever
raiders,
was
they're not
staying there.
raiders, hunters, I don't
Hunters,
know.
yes,
Generic
people.
bad guys.
They were ambushed. So that bit is new. The part about them living in the city and Henry having to get leukemia medication for his brother is absolutely new. Not only because Kathleen's character is completely new to the show, but because Sam doesn't have leukemia in the game. He also isn't deaf. That's a new detail. He's also in the game about Ellie's age. Ellie says she's 14 when he asks. He's like, me too. And Henry's like, oh, are you? And he's like, well, I'm close, so probably about 13.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether this change was made in the show because they just wanted to find the right actor and base the age
Yeah, it
off
might
of
have been
that,
what
or-
Jessica was saying with
I think he just won the role.
the right actor.
Yeah.
The casting was for 8 to 14, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am curious though if they found the right actor and based the age off that, or if they were like, we do kind of want to go younger for this particular character in the show. I don't know.
Who knows?
They might say in the podcast. We're not there yet. So there's also a moment in the game where they go into a toy store, the 4 of them all together grouped up, and Sam wants to take a little Transformer toy with him, but Henry is like, nah, can't do that. He's a philosophy that they only take what they need, and he's very stingent about that. But Ellie sneaks it into her backpack and then later gives it to him,
so
which is
sweet.
a very heartfelt moment.
Yeah.
The order that they exit the city is a little bit different. They kind of escape and then they're climbing a truck and Ellie and Joel help Henry and Sam get up on the truck and they manage to get Ellie up, but when the raiders are coming, they're like, Joel, we don't know if we can help you, we gotta peace out. And Ellie's like, what? And jumps back down. So they kind of leave him for dead. The raiders are chasing Joel and Ellie. they get to a bridge, a broken bridge, and Ellie's like, we gotta jump, even though she can't swim. And so they jump down, and then we have like is Joel gonna die? Is Ellie gonna die? Kind of
Right.
floating moment, and then Henry and Sam end up saving them, pulling them to shore, and that's when they team up again. So that's a little different too. Regarding the tunnels, we spend a lot more time, which I wish we did in the show too. We spend a lot more time in that underground community. We learn through a series of letters their sort of like daily lives. It's very sad. They
very
make
sad.
jokes to each other,
Yeah.
and like it's very heartfelt.
You can see how it was slowly getting worse too,
Yeah.
underground, like as things are running out.
We learn from a letter that someone has accidentally left one of the doors open like one time, and a bunch of infected get in, and they all get separated. And then we come across a very grisly scene that they left out of the show, where we basically learn from a letter that one dude and I think 3 kids, this little group of kids who are under a tarp, he leaves in a letter like, we're trapped in here, we can hear the infected trying to get in. I'll make sure that they don't suffer as they go. And so it's very dark.
Tough stuff.
It's very
Tough
tough.
stuff.
But I just think it's so meaningful.
Yeah.
Like learning about this little community down here and how they function, and it really like humanized them. And I felt that was a little missing. But hey, one reference that I'm sure a lot of the gamers were thrilled about was the reference to Ish. Ish in the game, for those who haven't played it or who just didn't look at the letters, he was kind of a comedic relief. Like we learned a lot about him. He's part of that underground community, and I think a lot of people were hoping to get him in the show, like as an actual
see like
character.
an Ish?
Yeah, and I almost thought that old man with the gun was going to be Ish, but he wasn't.
Ish, stop shooting at us.
Yeah.
His name was Anthony.
God bless Ish. But, we got a little nod, so that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
In the game, there's a moment where Henry and Ellie get separated from Joel and Sam, and the two father-not-father figures have a kid swap, which is also a new show on TLC. And they get closer because of that.
Right.
We do have that neighborhood scene where the sniper is shooting at them, but he's not working with Kathleen because Kathleen doesn't exist. Instead, he's a younger guy who Joel gets in there and he ambushes him. They kiss, sequence plays out. And they do have that moment where Joel is sniping, trying to defend everyone.
Right.
In the game, you're kind of defending everyone equally. In the show, I felt like they really put an emphasis that Joel is only going to protect Ellie first and foremost.
I also hated that part of the game. It's
It
a lot of
was
stress.
stressful,
It's a
yeah,
stressful
yeah.
part of the game.
Yeah, and instead of a horde of a bunch of infected coming out from the ground, it's just 3 little infected that each tackle one of them while Joel has to watch, and that is where Sam gets bit. So there's no bloater, it's only 3 infected instead of a giant underground rally. But that moment of Joel sniping is very similar. This bloater doesn't throw spores at all, which makes sense because the creators have already said they're not really doing the spore thing. I thought they were going to go with the Shambler route where he hugs him and explodes, but didn't, ripped his head off. Equally effective in killing someone. What can you do? And in the game, finally, Ellie and Sam do have a moment where they talk about ending up alone and being afraid of that. This conversation is obviously a lot more extended in the game because it takes some time to write on that magic pad in the show.
There's good tension, though, as you're waiting to see what each person is writing, which
That's
I really
very
like.
true. But they have that conversation where he says he's afraid. He's like, do you think they're trapped in their bodies? They have a conversation about like whether or not they go to heaven and if Ellie believes that or not. And she's like, some days I do, some days I don't.
All Fungus Goes to Heaven?
All Fungus Goes to Heaven? The sequel, the trequel. They did make a sequel to All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah, All Cats Go to Hell!
This is blasphemy against cats. I won't have it. And Ellie doesn't sleep in the same room as Sam, which would make sense because if he's not deaf,
She didn't know in the game.
he would have immediately attacked her. Yeah. So it's basically just she wakes up, she's like, "Where's Sam?" Henry's like, "I let him sleep in," and she goes to check on him, and the attack happens. So not because of this, there's also no burial moment or I'm sorry note that we get at the end. It's just a cold time jump to the fall instead.
Cold time jump. Wow. Well. Yeah, I think all the changes made a lot of sense. I love tying Kathleen into what's happened in the show, the way they tied Kathleen into this moment in the game, and Henry and Sam all being tied together in that storyline. It was great. I really liked it. how it wrapped up. Kill counts for this episode. This was a tough one. A lot going on in this episode. All right, we the people is what I'm calling the people who overtook Fedra, Kathleen's people, because they write "We the People" on the trucks a lot. So I'm going to call them "We the People." Okay. She also said, "Haven't you heard? Kansas City's free now." That was one of a very dark moment from her.
Oh my God.
So they killed about 30 people, Fedra people I saw them kill, including the informants and stuff. There's about almost 20 kids sitting in that room. Obviously, they killed a lot more, but that's what I saw on screen. Okay. And then when the horde's coming out of the ground, they kill about 25 infected. Again, tough to tell. A lot of running around, a lot of extras just running back and forth in the background. But that's what I could see. Joel does pretty well this episode. He kills 3 people, 3 actual people, and then he kills like 9 infected. I give him 3 because he shoots the woman driving the truck. Then the truck explodes. There's another guy in the passenger seat, so I count that to Joel.
That's math, baby.
That's math. That's math.
That's cold hard math.
If he didn't shoot her, he wouldn't die. There you go. And Joel snipes about 9 infected from what I can tell. We hear some more shots, but we don't see a body drop, so I don't know. He misses a bunch, too.
Yeah, there's a little big talk saying that the other guy was mad when he
It's
shot
tough.
that
Hey,
woman.
I played the game. It's tough to hit everyone with every shot. Plus, his hand still hurts. Ellie kills 1 infected. Gets a little knife. And then the second one, these are the infected attacking Henry and Sam. The second one, she knifes, and Joel finishes off. So she gets the assist for that one. The infected themselves, they get at least 20. At least 20 of those We the People
They killed it.
mofos running
Literally.
around. They did a great. The bloater getting 2 good ones that we see on screen. Really great one. And the little girl getting Kathleen. Great stuff. Henry gets 2. No more talk about that. Now we'll get into some full spoiler talk so we can talk about Game 2. Talk about everything we know about this storyline. So full spoilers, go away if you don't want to hear anything else. Let's talk about these bloater changes, okay? So in the game, specifically Last of Us Part 2, we also have shamblers who explode spores. In a slightly different way, they burst from their dead bodies versus a bloater who throws like grenades of spore balls, right? Which is something we haven't seen in the show. And as you pointed out, like Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann have kind of indicated they don't want to do spores because it doesn't really make sense. I think they could be lying. I think we could see that come into play later.
I like that Pedro Pascal was like, in Mandalorian, I can't wear a mask. And then in this is like, actually, you know what, I'll wear a mask.
I should wear a mask. So we'll see if the spores come into it. But yeah, a little bit of a bloater change there. Ellie does make those comments like earlier on in episode 2 when they're walking through the Boston area, and she's like, I heard there's infected that throw spores and blah, blah, blah. And Tess and Joel kind of laugh it off. But maybe they've just never seen it. They only know what they know.
Or maybe it's just a wise tale.
Maybe it's
And
just an old wives'
that's
tale.
something that happens with
Because
the kids.
Ellie knew about the clickers, and those turned out to be true, obviously. But yeah, we don't know if they'll get into shamblers at all. Are they going to save that for season 2? Is that a thing they'll just do away with completely? I don't know. Ellie trying to save Sam here. Obviously she fails at saving Riley, which is something we're going to learn more about as the season goes on. She's failed at saving Sam, right? Her blood didn't work there. She'll watch as she can't save Joel in season 2 of this show, assuming they follow the game stuff. Her parallel to she's very parallel to Kathleen in a lot of ways, right? Kathleen is a person who loves her brother Michael, is very different from her brother Michael in that she's willing to do the dirty stuff, get the revenge. She's willing to tear up this whole town. After taking out Fedra, her number 1 goal is to get Henry and Sam, despite what her advisors, Perry's saying to her, we shouldn't be wasting these resources. Resource management. Manage them. We shouldn't be wasting this, but this is her thing. She's so driven by revenge here, right?
Ellie?
No, Kathleen.
Kathleen.
But Ellie will be driven by revenge in part 2, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting parallel because Kathleen's a totally new character. So we're going to kind of see Ellie turn into Kathleen in a lot of ways, assuming season 2 of this show follows The Last of Us Part 2. I think we could see a lot of similarity there, right?
I think the whole conversation revolving around Kathleen not seeing it justified that Henry tried to save, would rat out the entire group just
Right.
trying to save one kid. I think that's way more relevant of a comparison than we're going to get at the end of the season, where the question is one kid's life worth the entirety
Right.
of humanity?
Right.
I was definitely seeing parallels there.
I mean, that's a great point. Yeah, and when we get to the finale of this season, right, and the effects of what happens in that finale are going to mess with Ellie for a long time because she's going to think that she's not a cure, right? She sees it plays out in this episode, and then what happens in the finale, you know, she'll be told like, oh, no, they couldn't fix you or whatever. Like, it didn't work, right? And so she's going to go on thinking she's not a cure, but maybe she is. You know, she possibly could be. And instead, she's going to go on this, like, revenge mission. And we'll even see a little bit of that play out in this season with, like, the cannibals, right? When she hears that, like, oh, they're coming to get us or they're looking for us. Like, and she's going to have to turn on. She's going to find a community. She's going to think it's great and then learn that it's not so great. One other quick thing, like, Joel in this episode hears, you know, from Henry, like, you were someone's father, right? Now, this could be setting up when Joel finally finds Tommy, he's gonna, if they follow the game that we've seen they've done so far in a lot of ways, Joel's gonna try and pass Ellie off to Tommy and like walk away from the situation. Ellie's gonna hear that, be pissed off, maybe run away if they follow all that stuff. We'll have to see. But it's kind of setting that up, right? Like Tommy next episode is gonna be like, no, you should like take care of her, like she should stay with you, Joel. And Joel being like, no, I don't want to be anyone's father anymore. But in the end, he's gonna have to be her father. Like, he's gonna have to take care of her. It's gonna be an important thing. So it's like Henry's kind of telling him, like, no, you're someone's father. You were someone's father, and you currently are someone's father. You're Ellie's father.
The bond is being cemented one episode at a time.
Yeah, Ellie ends up telling Joel, like, I'm not your daughter. In the game, she's like, I'm not your daughter. And Joel says, you're goddamn right, you're not. Like, we've seen them get closer together, and it's so nice to see that. But we know from storytelling, like, they're gonna have to go to a point where they're far apart again.
Sure.
And then really, really come back together stronger than ever before. And it's gonna be so hard to see that play out. I don't
Can't
want to see
wait.
it. I can wait.
I can't.
Just give me like 3 happy episodes in a row,
Look here,
please.
as
It's not gonna happen.
a person without a dad, I love watching dads fail. That is it for this episode of The Break Room. We'll be back next week to discuss episode 6, but we also do the show every day live at 3 p.m., you
baby.
guys, talking about all the nerdy stuff that you guys love and need to know. And on Sunday, we'll be going live right after the Super Bowl.
Oh, the big game.
I don't know what that is. To talk about all the wild trailers we're expected to see and get, and we're so excited about it. Follow me at Lulu_Clemons. Follow Brandon at Grin and Barrick. Follow Anna at It's Anna Vanston. Subscribe to The Break Room wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. Thanks for watching.
Endure and survive.
Endure and survive.
It's a bad slogan.